Hello everyone, this is Teacher Chris, and on behalf of Group 5, I'm here to present to you our recorded videos of our report last Sunday, April 18, entitled Psycholinguistics and Social Linguistics. The first video that you're going to watch is the motivation activity that we had with the rest of the class. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please tag yourselves and feel free to upload this in any social media platform. Katawaan lang po. Enjoy everyone.
Team Yellow!
The Team Yellow! Ayan! Hi, Miss Shine! Kamusta po? Hi, Miss Emily! Hi, Miss... good morning, Miss Citadel.
Dilawan kayo ha, dilawan.
Miss Jelly-Ann, good morning! Ayan.
Hello, Ma'am Jenny!
Morning po, Team Yellow. Team Yellow po.
Yes, Team Yellow.
Hi, good morning, Ma'am Blay.
Good morning, Miss Annalyn. Miss Kazel, good morning.
Miss Mine. Hi, ma'am.
Good morning.
Miss Kazel, thank you for subscribing. I saw your notification this morning. Salamat po, salamat. Meron po tayo mga paraffle later po, mga pa-jacket, mga pa-sombrero, pa-rubber shoes.
Mga pa-rice cooker.
Gusto ko, may parapol.
Mga paano, tayo mga
papango. Chris, yung grand prize natin is house and lot, no?
Yes po, nandito na po yung house and lot.
Yung house and lot sa paso. Grand prize.
Para po sa mga planito. Ito po, ang pinakauna po nating awardees for today, ang ating early bird awardee. So mga kaibigan, palakpakan po natin si Sir Reymark at si Miss Ms. Yay! Very good!
Yay! Si Dr. Love na naman.
Alright, we have 24 participants. So let's do some motivation game. As promised earlier, we are going to give someone 20 seconds of fame. So please, sports lang po, wala pong pikunan. Kung sino po ang aming mapipili randomly. Ito na po ang ating first entry for our first 20 second of fame. Ready na po ba? Sino po ito? Ayan, mag-react ka kung hindi.
Ay, nako, kami yan ni Ma'am Karen. During our, tawag dito,
Si Ma'am
kay Sir Randy na
Kutsa.
Galing kami po dyan sa Macalelon, Quezon para po yung aming gawain sa Group 3. Siyempre, mas mapaganda pa po at ang leader po namin dyan, walang ito si Sir Chris.
Alright, salamat po Miss Karen and Miss Ms.
Yes.
Ayan ang kanilang 20 seconds of fame. Ang ating pong next ay... Ready na po ba ang susunod? Ayan! Sino po ito? Sino po ito? Ayan, mag-react po tayo. Kasama po siguro si Mami at si Bunso.
Opo, si Miss Christine Samson. Opo,
Oh, wow.
kasama po yung sister ko at saka mother po.
Ayun! Alright, next is... Naku, sino ba itong next famous person na ito?
Dr. Love.
Oh.
Mr.
Sir Love.
My God.
Hindi naman nun.
Oh my
Take us
God.
there. Where was this taken? Ayan, your 20 seconds starts now.
Ang picture na to ay malungkot para sa akin kasi yung nag-capture ng picture na yun ay yung mismong nag-iwan sa akin.
Oh my God!
Wala na naman lahat
So
na
sad.
Oh, wow!
Anong reaction mo doon? Ang sakit, no? Nako,
Sir,
sir.
bakit kasi yan pa yung picture? Tama tuloy, nasaktan ulit siya.
Kaya nga, sorry, sir.
Okay lang sir kasi lahat ng mga picture ko doon sa Facebook siyang kumuha.
Oy, grabe. Hayaan mo, sir. Ang susunod mong picture.
Joke lang.
Sa'yo.
Joke lang. Ito po ay sa 747 Cafe here at Lacabambang po. I think it was taken last month siguro.
Last month.
Opo. Ayan.
So, ang purpose po na ating pakulo na ito at palarong ito is to get to know each other a little better because this is our last meeting prior to our final test. So, I think for our almost 3 months of bonding together, we have become an online family already. So, let's get to know some other more. Ayan. Sino ba itong itong isang ito?
Ganda naman yan.
May tumawa. Sino ba
Pag
itong
walang sama.
Ma'am Casey.
Si Ma'am Kazel. Ayan.
Hi,
Ma'am Kazel.
sir.
Hi, take us here. Take us
Nakatambay
to-
po ako niya sa tabi.
Wow. Pero ma'am,
Kasama ko po dyan yung friend ko pagkatapos po ng
wow. Friend lang ba, ma'am?
yeah.
Alright. So, maraming salamat po, Miss Kaisel. So, ang inyo po ka-Gcash is on the way. Ayan. Ito po. Sino po ba ito? Sino po ba ito? Sino po ito? Ito po muna tayo.
Grabe ka naman, sir. Ano nga bang event niyan?
Thank God, it's me.
Hi, Miss Shine. Good morning.
Grabe ka, sir. That was, when I was in college.
Go on. Take us to this memory. How was it? How was the experience?
That picture was a happy memory. Kasi we are somewhere in Lukban, Tabatis Aramin. So during that time, so we, together with the publication staff, so we attended the press conference there. So that's why it's a happy memory
Now
for
that we
me.
finally
Thank
warmed
you.
up, everyone. Salamat po, Miss Shine. Ayan nyo, makakabalik din kayo dyan.
Sir,
Yeah.
nakibalik nung isa kanina.
Ma'am, salamat po, Miss Shine. Thank you po. Sorry po sa pag-stalk. So, ito na po ang ating next picture. Ayan. Sino
Ayun,
ba?
sir.
Wow. Ganda mo, Mami Nye.
Ganda.
Pastolen.
Kontrabida.
Fresh.
Ang nag-picture niyan sa akin ay yung friend ko. Parang may
Friend pa po ba kayo?
Hindi ko alam bakit. Gabi yan eh. Siguro natripan lang. Parang ganon. Maganda kasi yung camera niya. Trinay namin.
Ano to? Look up, look side.
Ba't yun naman ko, sir? Ha? Grabe, naka-aura pa talaga ako dyan.
Thank you, Miss Mine. Thank you so much.
Yan ay sir. So, bukan mong agawin ng taong mahal ko. Look.
Ganun po ba yun? Yung
Wala yung caption, ma'am.
Ito po, caption this, ang ating next entry. Sino ba ito?
Ma'am Mitch?
Hindi pa ako sa filter.
Woke up like this. Wow.
Yes! Kagigising lang po talaga yan. 4th year college. sa galaan.
Was it a happy memory,
Agad.
ma'am? Was it a happy memory, ma'am? Ma'am Mitch?
Yes, sir. Dahil kasama ko dyan ang aking mga friends. First time na pinayagan lumabas. Matulog overnight sa ibang bahay.
Ayun. Ayan, ma'am, salamat po sa pagiging sports sa game na ito po. So, mga classmates, kung mapapansin nyo, yung mga photos na pinakita ko sa inyo is, or most of them has, footprint ng pagiging happy natin, ng normal life pa natin. So, sana po kahit ano pong nangyayari ngayon sa ating paligid ay happy lang po at positive lang tayo yung outlook natin sa buhay. Ano po? So, tutuloy po natin ang ating activity for today. Alright, so for today, I would like to introduce to you my group mates. This is Miss Irish Daxil. A long journey in life begins with one step. Miss Irish, take it away.
Hello, my name is Irish Daxil, but my students call me Teacher I. I have 2 years experience in teaching, and I'm a kindergarten teacher in Anuban Chumpon School, Chumpon, Thailand. And I believe in saying that ang mga katanungan ay dapat sa hulihan. And I thank you.
Thank you, Miss Irish. And our next member is Miss Analyn Sutarez. Don't be afraid of going slowly, be afraid of going still. Miss Analyn, take it away.
Hi classmates, good morning. My name is Analyn C. Sutarez. Just call me Ma'am Ana, Ate Ana, or Ana. Almost 11 years in service. teaching at Don Guillermo Eliazar Elementary School here in Binyangan, Quezon. Naniniwala sa kasabihang ang magaling na guro ay hindi lang mahusay sa pagtuturo, kundi madiskarte din sa pamamalengke. Kaya't ang laging tanong, magkano ang kilo? Ay, thank you.
Hooray!
Oh my God, ma'am!
Power.
And our next reporter is Miss Glenda Leovido. Mas mahalaga pa rin sa tao ang mga mabuting asal kaysa mas mataas na pinag-aralan sa kanya. Datapwat mas mainam naman kung taglay ito ng isang tao lamang. Miss Glenda, take it away.
Okay, good morning po. Good morning po sa lahat. I am Mrs. Glenda Leovido. 17 years in service at Doangan Ilaya National High School. Presently live here in Barangay San Antonio, Pala, Catanawan, Quezon. Ako po ay naniniwala sa kasabihang lahat ng problema ay may solusyon. Kapag inisip mong walang solusyon, huwag mo nang problemahin. Di po ba?
Hooray!
Okay, God. At ang susunod po nating entry ay naniniwalang once you replace negative thoughts with positive ones, you'll start having positive results. Sir Joemar, take it away.
Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Joemar. I have a 2 years teaching experience, currently teaching at Camplora National High School Annex at naniniwala sa kasabihang ang language ay parang love. Kung alam mong sayo,
Taray.
Wow! Thank you so much.
Bes, ang fresh mo pa dyan.
Syempre.
Bes, mapusyaw-pusyaw ka pa dyan.
Alright, ang ating susunod na entry ay naniniwalang if you can't be the tallest tree in the forest, you can be the useful grass in the lowlands. Sir Neil, take it away.
Good morning everyone. So I am Nhelliel Suson. So I am here in Thailand, in the western part of, particularly in the western part of Thailand, and I am teaching here in Arun Vitaya School in the province of Prachuap Khirikan. Yung kasabihan ko ngayon ay bahala na si Batman. Yun lang po.
Napaka-confident ng kasabihan na yan. Alright. Maraming salamat sa inyo. Ako po ang inyong lingkod, si Sir Christopher John Parafina. And don't let anyone or anything steal your shine. And I am a 10-year language teacher here in Thailand. And ako po ay isang guro, language teacher, pero ako po ay isang graduate ng Business Ad Major in Marketing. Ngayon po, narito po ako sa Thailand for 10 years now. At naniniwala po ako sa kasabihan na huwag tumawid dahil nakamamatay, pero ang taong matanong ay mas nakamamatay. Ayan. So, maraming salamat po sa pag-stay tuned. So ngayon po, dito naman po tayo sa ating more serious note. Ayan. For this morning, we are going to talk about or tackle psycholinguistics. Our objectives for today is to define, identify, and establish. Define, to get familiarized with new terminologies related to the topic and be able to use them in the future as a good source of reference. Identify, to identify famous scholars' contribution to language and compare and contrast their different theories in relation to modern linguistics. Establish, to be established or to be able to establish a strong stand on the topic and at the same time adapt using essential methods in teaching languages to our learners. And with that, I would like to turn you over to our next reporter, Ms. Analyn Sutarez.
Good morning, Doc Mel. Good morning, my fellow educators. So here is the introductions of our topic for this morning, psycholinguistics. So what is psycholinguistics? Psycholinguistics is a branch of both linguistics and psychology. So as we all know, psychology is the study of mind and behavior, and linguistics is the study or scientific study of language and its structures, including the study of morphology, syntax, phonetics, and semantics. So all in all, it means psycholinguistics is a part of the field of cognitive science. Psycholinguistics is also known as the psychology of language. which means interrelation between linguistic factors and psychological aspect. Psycholinguistic, ayon din kay Alan Garnham sa kanyang librong sa Psycholinguistic, mga paksang sentral, sinasabi niya na ang psycholinguistic ay isang disiplina na pang-agham na ang layunin ay isang magkakaugnay na teorya ng paraan kung saan ang wika ay nabubuo at nauunawaan. Isa pang pahulugan ng psycholinguistic, ito ay ang bahagi ng agham kung saan ito ay nagbibigay kamalayan. So the term psycholinguistic was also introduced by American psychologist Jacob Robert Cantor in his 1936 book, An Objective Psychology of Grammar. The term was popularized by one of Cantor's students, Nicholas Henry Pronto, in a 1946 article, Language and Psycholinguistic, a Review, The Emergence of Psycholinguistics as an Academic Discipline and Generally Linked to an Influential Seminar at Cornell University in 1951. Psycholinguistics is the branch of the study which combines the discipline of psychology and linguistics. It is concerned with the relationship between human mind and language as it examines the process that occur in brain while producing and receiving both spoken and written discourse. So this means that psycholinguistics is also the discipline that investigate and describe the psychological processes that make it possible for humans to master and use language. And it also conduct research on speech development and language development and how individuals of all ages comprehend and produce language. In a history, so psycholinguistic works start as far as Plato. So during pa kay Plato, so psycholinguistics ay nag-exist na. It became prominent in 19th century with linguistics. Paul Broca, Charles Hackett, and William labeled as important psychologists who did works on it. A look back, it is widely believed that the scientific study of these unique human abilities was launched during the 1950s with the advent of Noam Chomsky's generative linguistics. So, as we all know, Noam Chomsky is considered as the father of modern linguistics. So, siya yung kinikilala nating father of modern linguistics, si Noam Chomsky. Modern psycholinguistics received a major impulse from this cognitive revolution. But the empirical study of how we speak and listen and how children acquire these amazing skills has its roots in the late 18th century. So the progression of modern psycholinguistics can be traced in four major periods. Ito yung tinatawag nating the formative period, the linguistic period, the cognitive period, the current cognitive science period. And in this every period, dito nag-exist or kumbaga dito mas nagkaroon ng maraming pag-aaral yung mga great contributors ng psycholinguistics to be discussed by the next reporter. Okay, so by the end of 19th century, the psychology of language was an established science and the field was blooming up to World War II. Okay, so the next reporter will be the one who discuss who are those great contributors of this psycholinguistics. So, introductions of psycholinguistics, and I will return it to Sir Chris for our next reporter.
Thank you, Ms. Analyn, for that very vivid introduction of psycholinguistics. Thank you so much. All right, guys. Before we move on to our next reporter, I would like to share something like a preview of psycholinguistics before we dive into our famous contributors and famous scholars relating to psycholinguistics. So please turn the volume of your devices, whatever you are using. Turn it up so that you'll be able to hear our presentation clearly. Thank you. Language happens and thanks to our brain. Our brains, located in our skull, is responsible for our abilities to acquire complex linguistic skills like phonology, semantics, syntax, and reading. It's what helps us write poems and compose text or get the meaning of a raised eyebrows or a string of random emojis. Understanding the brain helps us understand how language is produced and interpreted. We can point directly to the parts of our mouths and hands that are used to make language, but you can't reach in and feel your own brain. Luckily, over the years, people have devised a whole range of ways of looking at the brain to figure out where and how language happens. This is the field of psycholinguistics. Interest in the relationship between language and the brain really picked up in the 19th century. Researchers observed people with language disorders and then looked at their brains after they died. If damage to one part of the brain from a stroke, dementia, or a head injury correlated with a difference in the subject's ability to understand or produce language, the scientists could predict there was a relationship there. These kinds of injuries that affect our language abilities are known as aphasia. Two famous kinds of aphasia discovered at the time are called Broca's aphasia and Wernicke's aphasia. The areas of the brain related to each kind of aphasia therefore became known as Broca's area and Wernicke's area. You may have heard about them in psychology or anatomy class. Broca's area is located around our left temple and it was named after Paul Broca, a 19th century French physician who noticed that people who'd been injured in this part of their brain acted in similar ways. While they could still understand language, they could only produce maybe a handful of words, one at a time. Broca's area affected their ability to speak or sign in a fluid grammatical way. In other words, it affected their ability to use morphosyntax. Right around the same time Broca was making his discovery, German physician Carl Wernicke discovered that if a different part of the brain was injured, there was a totally different effect. The people injured in this spot, located just above your left ear, tended to talk in a way that sounded fluent and grammatical but was nonsensical. Wernicke's area is associated with the meaning of language. But those 19th century studies were limited, and the brain is amazingly complex and flexible. More recent research has found that some people can majorly damage Broca's area and never develop aphasia. Other people can learn how to speak through extensive practice building on their ability to sing, which is controlled by a different part of the brain. These newer studies help us understand neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to flexibly build and connect parts of the brain in response to injury or as part of learning. And though the language areas are usually located in the left hemisphere of the brain, some people's language areas are found predominantly in the right hemisphere or spread across both sides, especially for left-handed or ambidextrous people. So the relationship between language and the brain is even more complicated than we first thought. Even now, errors and differences in language hues can teach us about the different skills involved in language and how they're organized inside our minds. We all sometimes forget a word that we know perfectly well, or accidentally swap words, parts of words, or idioms. What you might encounter is spoonerisms, tip of the tongue experience, or mixed metaphors. These production errors tells us valuable things about how the mind handles language. Like, when you just can't quite remember a word? You know it, you almost have it, it's right there. You just can't retrieve it. This phenomenon is known as a tip of the tongue experience, and psycholinguists have found that people with a word in the tips of their tongues can often recall other information about it. They might remember its meaning, its first letter, and sometimes how many syllables it has, but they can't quite recall the complete word. Sign languages also have this phenomenon, which is known as tip of the fingers. And signers experiencing tips of the fingers can also recall certain information about the sign they're seeking, especially the initial hand shape and location of the hand. They just can't recall the movement they need to complete the sign. Tip of the tongue and finger experiences can show us how our thoughts are organized, because we can have access to the first letter or initial hand position without having access to the remaining sounds or movement. Knowing a word isn't a binary state of yes or no like a computer. Our brains can also retain partial information. Production errors are so useful that psycholinguists have techniques for trying to get people to make even more of them so they can study those errors in a laboratory setting. Psycholinguists can induce tip of the tongue or finger experiences by asking people to translate words or to recall proper nouns. Let's take a look at this psycholinguistic experiment right here. In a moment, two shapes are going to appear on the screen. Are you ready? It's more than likely that you call the shape on the left Buba and the shape on the right Kiki. About 9 out of every 10 people make that choice. Experiments have repeatedly shown that we think of voiceless stops like ka and high vowels like e as small, sharp, crunchy, bright, and spiky, compared to voice sounds like ba and rounded vowels like u, which are big, lumpy, dark, and heavy across many different languages. The Kiki Buba experiment shows that the language is related to other sensory experiences. Yes, words are still made up of arbitrary smaller parts, but it's not completely 100% arbitrary, and this mapping between senses can show up in some general tendencies for naming things across language. One large study showed that words for nose were more likely to have a nasal sound like ma or na across many different languages. Marketers are very aware of these links. Buba wouldn't make a good name for a brand of crackers, but Kiki would, because we generally want our crackers to be crispy. But I'm sure Buba brand ice cream would taste much better, round and smooth and creamy. Despite these general tendencies, there are also language-specific differences. If your language doesn't have a ba or u sound, you might not think of Buba as a possible word, so you might not associate it consistently with the bubbly shape. Different languages can also label the shapes differently depending on how their sound systems work. Tone can influence how Mandarin speakers label these shapes. Our human brain doesn't completely separate our linguistic knowledge from other knowledge of the world, and experiments like the Kiki Buba test help show that. In a nutshell, there's still a lot of individual variation in how our brains get organized as we learn things. And lots of psycholinguistics work has been done with small numbers of people who speak dominant languages like English. So we only know a little about if and how being fluent in other languages affects what happens in the brain. There's always more to learn. This has been Teacher Chris. Thank you for watching. See you in the next one. All right, so thank you for watching, everyone. So let me call on, in relation to that video, let me call on our next reporter, Miss Glenda. Miss Glenda, take it away.
Yes, sir. Good morning po, everyone. Good morning po, sir. Doc Mel. My topic is about the key contributors. Number 1 contributors is William Johannes Maria Level, born 17th of May 1938 in Amsterdam in Dutch. He is a Dutch psychologist. He is an influential researcher of human language acquisition and speech production. He developed a comprehensive theory of a cognitive process involved in the act of speaking, including the significance of mental lexicon. So, when we say mental lexicon, it is defined as a mental dictionary that contains information regarding a word's meaning, pronunciation, syntactic characteristic, and so on. So, ito po ay present lang ni Sir nung presentation. Nabanggit na po ito, nabanggit na po ito. At saka, kung natatandaan po ninyo, ito po ay na-explain na rin po ng previous reporters. I think, yun pong Group 1 reporter. Okay, the second contributors is Pierre Paul Broca. He was a French as a physician, surgeon, anatomist, and anthropologist. He was born in Saint-Foy-la-Grande, Gironde. He was best known for his research on Broca's area on the region of a frontal lobe. Kung napanood din po natin kanina, binanggit din po yung tungkol sa Broca's area, which is, ito po yung discuss din ng Group 1. Pero kanina po narinig uli natin napanood uli natin para mas malinaw na explanation about Broca's area. A region of frontal lobe of a dominant hemisphere, usually the left part of our brain. Na ang function po ay to link speech production. Okay, the third contributor is Charles Francis Hackett. He was an American linguist who developed many influential ideas in American structuralist linguistics. He represents the post-Bloomfieldian phase of structuralism, often referred to as distributionalism or taxonomic structuralism. His academic career spanned over half a century of Cornell and Rice universities. Hackett was also a firm believer of linguistics as a branch of anthropology, making contributions that were significant to field of anthropology as well. As linguistic, we may say that linguistic anthropology is a branch of anthropology that studies the role of language in social lives or individuals and community. Sabi dito, language influences a social life. Okay, the last and fourth contributors is Abraham Noam Chomsky. He was an American linguist, philosopher, cognitive scientist, historian, social critic, and political activist. Someone's called the father of modern linguistics. So, nasabi natin po kanina na background ni kay Ma'am Analyn. Chomsky is also a major figure in analytic philosophy and one of the founders of the field of cognitive science. He believes that we have free-wired structure in our brains, which help us to advance knowledge about language known as avathism. Avathism is a genetic trait that occurs after skipping several generations. Pero siguro po i-relate natin in language, sinabi niya, hindi lamang po physical traits ang namamana, kundi ang wika rin, language. Namamana rin po natin from generation through generation. Sabihin natin, when we say, for example, sa atin po sa Pilipino, pag sinabi natin nanay, maging inay man yan, maging mama, as of now, madaming tumatawag sa mga nanay at sa nanay ng mommy, or sa mga millennials, sinatawag na ermat, whatever the language evolved, kung ano man ang maging katawagan as nanay sa mother, hindi po nababago. It doesn't change the meaning of the word. So that's all po.
Thank you so much, Miss Glenda, for that background of our key contributors. I'm sure everyone is very well informed today, and yung mga information na nandyan sa brain nila, na-refresh lang. Actually, mga classmates, katulad nga po ng sabi ni Miss Glenda, this is just a review of everything that we have talked about from Group 1, headed by Miss Miniela, Group 2 by Sir Reymark, and Group 3 by Miss Shine, and Group 4 by Miss Glynis. Ayan. Ang ating pong next reporter ay ang poging-poging, si Sir Joemar. Take it away, sir.
Okay, good morning everyone. So for now, let us tackle all about the important aspect of psycholinguistics. So the first one is language processing. In language processing, it includes the reading, writing, speaking, listening, and memory. For instance, how words on paper are turned into meaning in the mind. So dito po sa language processing, dito po natin malalaman the connection of language and the brain. Like for example, the teacher wrote a sentence, roses are red. So dito po mababasa natin, kung tayo po yung student, mababasa po natin siya na roses are red. So it means, siya po ay ating nabasa, and then yung pong pwede po natin siyang isulat. And then pag po natin nabasa na po natin siya, papasok na po dun yung ating speaking. And then pag po may bumasa nun, doon naman po papasok yung ating listening. And then paano po siya papasok sa ating memory? So for example, when we say rose, automatically pumapasok po sa isip natin, the color of rose is red. That's why that is the meaning of the language processing. And the next one is the lexical storage and retrieval. So the way words are stored in our minds and used, how we are able to map words onto objects such as ball, and action such as kick, and love and access, this when needed. So when we say lexical storage, that is how words are stored in our minds in relation to each other. So ibig sabihin po, ano po ba yung mga words na nasa sa isip na natin? And then pag naman po sinabi nating lexical retrieval or lexical access, that is how we reach a word when we need it. Ibig sabihin po, paano po natin nakukuha yung word na yon sa time po na kailangan natin gamitin. Like for example, the roses are red. Pag po pinagawa po tayo ng sentence and then nasulat po natin, roses are red. So ibig sabihin po, pumapasok din po, nasa isip na natin na ang rose ay red. That is the lexical storage. And for retrieval, ginamit po natin siya into a sentence. And then the next one is the language acquisition. How language is first learned and used by children. For example, learning the rules of grammar and how to communicate with other people. So, pag naman po sinabi nating language acquisition, that is the process by which human acquire the capacity to perceive and comprehend a language. Or in other words, ito po yung ability to be aware of language, to understand it. Kung paano po natin naiintindihan yung language. And also, there are two main guiding principles in first language acquisition. That is the speech perception and the speech production. So, sa language acquisition po, like for example, nagsisimula po to sa mga infants. Kung mapapansin po natin, bakit natin tinuturuan yung mga baby pa lang or mga bata pa lang na magsalita? Like for example, how to speak the word mama. So doon po nagsisimula yung ating pong language acquisition. Na pag narinig ng bata, and then automatically, nasasalita po niya. Okay, and the next one is the special circumstances. How internal and external factors can impact language development, such as twins and their use of twin language. The influence of hearing and vision impairments on acquisition, on how damage to the brain can affect certain aspect of language. So sino po dito yung naka-encounter na o meron pong kilala na kambal? Ano po yung napapansin nyo po dun sa kanila? Meron po kayong ibang napapansin about their communication? O paano po sila mag-usap? Or iba po ba sila dun sa ibang mga bata?
O sir, sasagot.
Sige po sir.
Napapansin ko po kapag may sa kambal, parang napaka-intimate ng kanilang communication. Parang by use of their hand gestures, parang alam na agad nila yung kanilang pinag-uusapan. Tinginan pa lang nila, parang napaka-intimate ng kanilang communication. So parang kahit na hindi bumaka ang bibig ng isa, alam agad ng isa kung anong ibig sabihin. Yun lang po yung na-observe ko sa kanila.
Okay sir, thank you po. So yan po yung belong po dun sa tinatawag nating special circumstances or yung pong tinatawag natin na language of a twin o yung tinatawag po nating cryptophasia. Is a phenomenon of language developed by twins that only two children can understand. So ibig sabihin po, parang sila lang po yung nakakaintindi. Kung saan po yung dalawang kambal na yun, meron po silang tinatawag na twin language na kung saan sila lang pong dalawa yung nakakaintindi. Kaya po mapapansin natin, ba't para pong kakaiba sila o meron silang ibang language na hindi naman ginagamit ng ibang bata? Okay, so proceed na po tayo sa next one, the brain and language. Evolutionary explanation of why humans have the capacity to use language and the parts of the brain concerned with different areas of language. Also, considering whether or not non-human animals have the ability to use language too. So, ito naman po ay lagi na nating na i-encounter since pa lang po dun sa first reporter, second reporter, yung tungkol po dito sa brain and the language. Kung paano po nagkakaroon o paano po nagpa-function ng ating brain para po makapag-produce ng language. And the last one is the second language acquisition. looking at bilingualism and how individuals can learn a second language and are able to differentiate between them. So ano po ba yung tinatawag natin na second language acquisition? So second language acquisition or sequential language acquisition is learning a second language after a first language is already established. So ibig sabihin po doon, pag meron na po tayong first language, diyan na po papasok yung ating tinatawag na second language acquisition, na kung saan matututo po tayo ng another language bukod pa po doon sa ating natutunan na first language. Many times this happens when child will speak a language other than English, go to school for the first time. Children have an easier time learning a second language, but anyone can do it at any age. It takes a lot of practice. Okay, like for example po, sa situation po natin dito sa Pilipinas, most of our students, yung first language po nila is Filipino. Like for example po, dito sa amin, sila po ang first language po nila ay Bisaya. And then, pagdating po nila sa school, doon na po namin sila tinuturuan ng second language. So dito po pumapasok na, pag sinasabi pong it takes a lot of time, ibig sabihin po doon, hindi po kasi namulat yung mga bata na English ang kanilang first language. That's why nahihirapan po silang matuto ng second language. And that's all for my report. Thank you po.
Thank you so much, Sir Joemar. Maraming salamat for enlightening us about important aspects of psycholinguistics. Maraming salamat, sir. Nakakahinga ka na. Ngayon naman po, let's move on to our next reporter. Next reporter.
Sir?
Kayo po ay handa na po ba? Ayan, ang ating pong poging-poging si Sir Nhelliel. Suson, take it away, sir.
Okay, good morning once again. So I am the fourth presenter of the group. And the topic assigned to me this morning is all about the theories of psycholinguistics. So under these theories, we have here the language acquisition, wherein we are looking at young children and ask a question: how do children learn to speak? How does the child acquire his or her mother tongue? And then we have the language production. So what's happening from thought to output to the production of sound wave that is coming out? We have the language comprehension. How do we interpret the input? How do we understand what's being said to us? So these are the subjects under the theories of psycholinguistics, but our main focus for now is only on the theories of language acquisition. So we'll proceed to the next slide. So let me read. Various theories and approaches have emerged over the years to study and analyze the process of language acquisition. So for this part, for this topic, I'll try to explain these various theories. Principles have been used to describe how knowledge or language is acquired. And we will proceed first to another slide. So the main schools of thought which provide theoretical paradigms in guiding the courses of language acquisition are imitation, nativism, or behaviorism. So these are the major theories that we'll be going to discuss later on. So here are the major theories. First, imitation, nativism, or behaviorism, which is based on the empiricist or behavioral approach. We have the innateness, which is based on the rationalistic approach, and mentalist theory, which is based on the cognitive psychological approach. So we're going to go over each one of these on the next slide. So first, we will discuss the imitation, nativism, and behaviorist theory. So language has long been thought of a process of imitation and reinforcement. Imitation theory is based on an empirical or behavioral approach by B.F. Skinner. Children start out as a clean slate, and language learning is a process of getting linguistic habits printed on the slates. Language acquisition is a process of experience. Language is a conditioned behavior, the stimulus-response process. So these are the main concepts: the stimulus, response, feedback, reinforcement. Proceed muna tayo sa next slide before the explanation. So according dun sa slide, children were born as a clean slate or a blank slate, or ika nga tabula rasa ni John Locke. So it means children don't have any knowledge of rules and grammar. in the behaviorist account kasi on language acquisition is that language is learned from the outside. It's all about habit formation. The same way we learned other habits. And this habit formation is brought about and formed through a process of mimicry, repetition, and memorization. So here are the steps how children learn language. So first, we have imitation. Children learn to speak by imitating the occurrences around them. Okay, they repeat these words they heard and use it in their conversation until it became a regular basis in life. Their responses are strengthened by repetition, corrections, and other reactions that adults provide. And it should be learned through a process or a drilling and exercises. So the last part is reinforcement. So to the behaviorist, every process of learning, according to them, it has to be followed by reinforcement. And it is based on the operant conditioning of Skinner. And it is basically focuses on the relationship between the behavior and the consequence, and how consequence in turn influence the behavior. And under the type of consequence, we have the punishment and reinforcement. So in reinforcement, there is a positive, wherein a positive thing is added to increase the goal behavior or the target behavior to occur again. And then the negative reinforcement, wherein a negative thing is subtracted to increase the tendency of the target behavior or the goal behavior to be repeated again. So here there are two kinds of evidence that are used to criticize the behaviorist theory. So the first evidence here is based on the kind of language children produce. So let me read. First piece of evidence taken from the way children handle irregular grammatical patterns. While encountering irregular items, there is a stage when they replace forms based on the regular patterns of language. Gradually, they switch over to the process of analogy, a reasoning process as they start working out for themselves. So ang ibig sabihin lang naman ito is that when children encounter such irregular past tense form, such as went, past tense ng go, or such plural forms, such as mice and sheep, there is a stage when they replace these forms based on the regular patterns of language. They say such things as wented, mices, mouses, and sheeps. So evidently, according to them, children assume that grammatical usage is regular, and they try to work out for themselves what the forms ought to be. And this is called a reasoning process known as analogy. And they could not be learned by a process of imitation. So we'll proceed to the next. So the second evidence is based on what children do not produce. The other evidence is based on the way children seem unable to imitate adult grammatical constructions exactly. And the best known demonstration of this principle is provided by American psycholinguist David McNeill. So for this part, maybe I would like to ask one of the members of our group to role-play this following conversation. Maybe I would like to ask Ma'am Analyn or maybe Ma'am Irish to role-play this conversation.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Nobody don't like me.
No. Say, nobody likes me.
Nobody don't like me. Nobody don't like me. Nobody don't like me.
No, now listen carefully. Say, nobody likes me.
Oh, nobody don't likes me.
So, salamat po. So this evidence is based on the way children seem unable to imitate adult grammatical constructions exactly. So yung explanation po nito, andun na sa huli, thus language acquisition is more a matter of maturation than of imitation. Proceed siguro tayo sa next slide. So our next theory is all about the nativist or innateness theory. So here is the main argument. Children must be born with an innate capacity for language development. According to Noam Chomsky, children are born with an innate propensity or likas sa atin for language acquisition, and that this ability makes the task of learning a first language easier than it would otherwise be. Proceed muna tayo sa next slide. So the human brain is naturally ready for language in the sense when children are exposed to speech. Certain general principles for discovering or structuring language automatically begin to operate. Chomsky originally theorized that children were born with a hardwired language acquisition device in their brain. Dito sa nativist theory, they believe that everybody learns a language not because they are subjected to a similar conditioning process, but because they possess an inborn capacity which permits them to acquire a language as a normal maturational process. So it means a child was not born as a clean slate or empty. He is already born with basic knowledge of rules and grammar, a basic set of language skills, which in turn enable them to easily learn a native language. And according to Noam Chomsky's hypothesis, that there are inborn structures in our brain, what he called the language acquisition device, which gives us a natural propensity to organize the spoken language that we hear in various grammatical ways. It is a language-specific abilities that help children rapidly learn and understand a language. Proceed po tayo sa next slide, sir. So according to Chomsky, the presence of universal grammar in the brains of children allow them to deduce the structure of their native languages from mere exposure. Primary data is then used to make sentences or structures after a process of trial and error correspond to those in adult speech. Included in this innate knowledge must be the details, or important characteristics of all the world's languages. The term universal grammar has been used to describe the knowledge contained in language acquisition device. And this universal grammar is a certain set of structural rules that are innate to humans, independent of sensory experiences. And that is why, according to them, if you look at languages across different cultures, you'll find that all languages, they have the same basic structures. And all these languages are going to have a certain nouns, verbs, and adjectives. This universal grammar exists in all of the natural languages in the world. Here's a table below where we can see an input, the LAD, the language acquisition device, and output. So a child uses its language acquisition device to make sense of occurrences around them. And it's derived from the primary linguistic data, which is the adult speech. And the hypothesis about the grammar of language, what the sentences are, and how they are constructed, dito yun sa LAD. Okay? That is why children hear only infinite number of sentences, but they're able to construct rules and principles of language. They're able to produce infinite number of sentences without any formal training. It is because there is already a set of rules that can predict which combination of words are able to make grammatically correct sentences. And then this knowledge is then used to produce sentences. So there are two distinct views on language acquisition device functions. So first, LAD provides children with a knowledge of linguistic universals such as the existence of word order and word classes. So inside our heads, we have already a set of rules about language, which Chomsky refers to as the universal grammar. And this universal grammar is the basis upon which all human languages built, such as the existence of word order, the subject, verb, and object. For English, example, French, and Vietnamese. We have subject, object, and verb for Japanese, Tibetan, and Korean. Word classes. There's also the word classes, the noun, the verb, the adjectives, and adverbs. These things exist in LAD. LAD provides children only general procedures for discovering language to be learned. There are some underlying features of language that are all the same, and we are prepared to acquire any language because all languages have certain things in common. So the idea here is that we are prepared to acquire certain types of grammatical rules, but not the specific grammatical rules. In other words, languages must share certain features, certain types of rules that are common to all languages. And our brains are prepared to acquire these types of rules, but the specific rules will vary. In other words, the idea here is that in a specific language, maybe we learn that adjectives comes before noun. And in some other languages, it could be opposite. The specific rules vary, but the idea of adjective is the same. Okay, the general idea is the same. The idea that we use some words to describe some other words. And this is one of the few things that languages going to have. So for the last slide, so here are the criticism on innate theory. So the rule of adult speech cannot be rolled out in providing a means of enabling children to work out the regularities of language for themselves. There are principles of grammar that cannot be learned on the basis of positive input alone. So there was a case study about this, and it was in 1977. And a child named Jim, the son of a deaf parents, bingi yung parents niya, he had little contact with adults to interact with. And the only contact with oral language he had was through television and the radio, which was frequent. He did learn language through these means, but when he spoke, he used incorrect syntax, and his language development was under the expected rate. So this is one of the example that I can give to you to explain this particular side. And with this, and without the associated interaction, or without associated interaction, it meant little to Jim. So there are subsequent theories have placed greater emphasis on the way in which real children develop language to fulfill their needs and interact with their environment, including other people. So this is the explanation of this part. So for the next part, it will be the, I think, mentalist theory, and it will be presented by one of our members, Sir John Parafina. Sir, I will give you now.
Thank you so much, Sir Nel. Napaka-informative and well-researched. Ang dami naming natutunan sa iyong presentation. Maraming salamat po, Sir Nel. Meron kang command. Talagang nakikinig kami lahat. Ayan po, dear members, please open your cameras. Alright, so okay pa po ba ang lahat? Naku, pasensya na po kung medyo napabilis ang ating pagdadrive. Ayan, medyo po ibabagalan po natin ng kaunti. Ano po, kailangan ko po ang inyong participation, kailangan ko po ang inyong ideas before we jump into the next theory. So, just to recap, according to Sir Nel, meron po tayong dalawang theory na na-discuss. Ito po yung nativist theory, yung pinakauna niyang sinabi. Yung theory na ito ay sinasabi na ang mga bata daw natin, itong imitation nativism behaviorist theory, ay clean slate. Pagdating sa language acquisition, so natututo sila dahil sa nature. Okay? So pangalawa naman po na sinabi ni Sir Nel na theory is about itong nativist or innateness theory according to Noam Chomsky. Kung mapapansin po ninyo, yung dalawang theory ito, it's a bit in contrast with each other. Alright? Kasi sabi naman ni Noam Chomsky, no, hindi clean slate ang mga bata pagdating sa language acquisition. Meron silang LAD, which stands for anyone?
Language acquisition device.
Language acquisition device.
Very good. Language acquisition device. Maraming salamat po. At napatunayan ko, nagising pa rin kayo. Alright. So according to Noam Chomsky, meron po tayong LAD. So yung LAD na yon ay yun ang ginagamit ng mga bata as basis kung paano nila natututunan ng language. Ngayon po, ang tanong po namin sa inyo, mga classmates, saan po kayong theory medyo inclined to? Sa theory number 1 or theory number 2? And please answer. Who would like to answer?
Ako, sir.
This is Miss Miniela. Okay, yes, Miss Miniela.
For me, mas naniniwala ako dun sa sinabi ni Noam Chomsky, yung sa innate po, ang language sa mga bata. It's because meron po tayong tinatawag na baby talking sa mga bata. At pag pinanganak po sila, pag nakakakita na sila, kapag parang nilalaro-laro mo yung mga bata, parang naiintindihan nila, nag-smile sila. Meaning, may language po silang nare-receive. Na-interpret nila yung nasa paligid nila. So, parang mas naniniwala ako sa sinabi ni Mr. Noam Chomsky or the so-called father of modern linguistics. Yun po.
Yes, thank you so much, Miss Miniela. So tama po yung sinabi ni Miss Miniela. Ako po kasi ay naniniwala na yung mga bata, di ba po kapag unang muwang pa lang nila, tama po ba, Miss Miniela? Meron na silang sense and comical way how to communicate with us, with adults. That makes us, so into them. Diba? So ayun po, Miss Miniela, maraming salamat po. Makikipag-coordinate po sa inyo mamaya si Sir Joemar.
Sir, addiction po.
Ayun, Sir Reymark, kayo po ba in favor sa theory number 1 or theory number 2?
In favor po ako doon sa sinabi ni Ma'am Miniela na ang bata po talaga ay tingnan na ano na lang na natin po sa, di ba pag ang bata unang labas or yung sa laboring stage, yung bata, di ba, umiiyak agad, ibig sabihin may senses siya. Yung pag-iyak na yun, ibig sabihin nagko-communicate siya na ibig sabihin parang may something na agad na nasa utak niya. Kung hindi siguro, kung walang laman yung utak ng bata, siguro hindi siya iiyak. So ibig sabihin, sa unang ano pa lang ng bata, dun sa pag-iyak pa lang niya, after the delivery stage na yun, ibig sabihin, ang bata may muwang na talaga. Yun po.
Galing! Thank you sa isang napaka panindig balahibong kasagutan, Sir Reymark. Totoo yun, no? Kapag labas pa lang ng bata, sisigaw na siya na parang, hello Philippines, hello world, parang ganyan. Ready na ba kayo sa akin? Parang ganyan. So, yung point ni Sir Reymark, yung mga bata naman, kapanak pa lang, nagko-communicate na sila through their first cry. So, 2 points for innate. Okay, sino pa po ang gusto mag-share po ng kanilang thoughts?
Okay, Sir Chris, hello.
Hi, Glay. Thank you po. All right, Ms. Glay.
Sorry,
We're very
Miss
excited to hear your
Emily.
thoughts.
Okay. Okay, so I prefer, or I think I believe to the empiricist theory, the socialism, because without the social interaction, without talking to other people such as parents, and the usage-based language acquisition, it's a little bit difficult to learn a language. For example, if you are going to leave the child in the forest, I don't think they are going to communicate well.
Yes.
If they see animals, they will behave like a monkey or a buffalo, like that, because they only see animals. I remember a story about a child. It's like a Tarzan, but the
Yes.
real
Jungle
scenario.
Book.
Yeah, Jungle Book. And he wasn't able to communicate ever since he was born. And when someone brought him to the city, like, he couldn't read, he couldn't communicate, and
Yes.
he behaved literally like King Kong, like that. Okay, but King Kong is smart. I just watched the movie. So yeah, even though we have the innate, or we have the nativeness as a speaker, without the what do you call that? The proper training, without communication, it's difficult. Yeah, we understand, but we cannot use the language appropriately. So I believe to the social interaction or empiricist theory. Thank you po.
Hey, maraming salamat po, Miss Glay. As always, you are very, very helpful and informative. Alright, so mga classmates, so nakikita po natin yung pananaw po ng iba ng mga classmates natin. I'm sure meron din po kayong mga personal views. Kung nahihiya po kayong i-discuss yan, pwede naman po natin ilabas yan, i-share sa amin. Pero yun nga po, behavioral and innate theory. So medyo in contrast po sila dalawa. Alright, so which brings us to any other sharers po before I move on?
Sir, good morning.
Yes po. Sino po ito? Ang ating caller,
Citadel po.
mystery caller.
Citadel.
Hi, Miss Citadel. Good morning
Hi, good
po.
morning, sir. So sa
Welcome
akin,
to our
sir,
class.
parang mixture or combination.
Hey, mixed.
Si naturally, yung kay Noam Chomsky, talagang nandun yung inborn, kumbaga,
Opo.
an infant, yung natural language niya. Sinasabi kanina nila si Reymark and Mom, yung nga po yung nauna. And Miniela. And then, as the child or as the infant or the toddler, whatever we call it, as he develops, kailangan niya ng somebody around or the people around para ma-develop yung kanyang language skills. So through imitation, and then through socialization, nadi-develop or nadi-improve ang kanyang language skills. So, parang sa akin, lahat yon tutulong-tulong para ma-improve yung language ability or language skills of a child. Yun lang po, sir. Thank you.
Very, very well said, Ma'am Citadel. Thank you so much po. Ayun, mga classmates, according to Ma'am Citadel, mixed. Okay? Actually, the theory number 1 and theory number 2 could actually work together. Tama po ba, Miss Citadel?
Sir, then pag nag-ano na siya, yung grow into a fine man or a young man, so yun na yung socialization. It's very important for him.
Alright. So, yun na yung keyword niyo, ma'am, socialization. Thank you so much, Miss Citadel. Alright, so let's move
Sir,
on.
thank you.
Apo, thank you po. Alright, so let's move on. So, let's go and talk about the third theory that we have right over here. The third theory talks about this. The third theory is what we call the cognitive theory. Ito yung main argument ni cognitive theory. According to this, language acquisition must be viewed within the context of a child's intellectual development. Linguistic structures will emerge only if there is an already established cognitive function. Please take note of this markers, cognitive foundation. So before children can use linguistic structures, they need first to have developed the conceptual ability to make relative judgments. Alright, so let's move on. Actually, this cognitive theory, ang main figure na dapat tandaan natin dito is from a Genevan psycholinguist named John Piaget, who proposed the model of cognitive development. So ano po ba yung cognitive development? So according to our research, cognitive development is, ito po, suggests that children move through 4 different stages of mental development. So meron po tayong 4 stages. Later po, we'll go into the details. His theory focuses not only on understanding how children acquire knowledge, but also on understanding the nature of intelligence. Alright? So ito po yung 4 na stages. The first stage is the sensory motor stage, or from 0-year-old to 2 years old. Alright, ano ba yung sensory motor stage? So let me go there. So ang ating sensory motor stage, ito yung kanyang major characteristics and developmental changes. Number 1, the infant knows the world through their movements and sensations. Number 2, children learn about the world through basic actions such as sucking, grasping, looking, and listening. Number 3, infants learn that things continue to exist even though they cannot be seen. And number 4, they are separate beings from people and objects around them. May individuality sila, nare-realize nila. They realize that their actions can cause things to happen in the world around them. Dito na nare-realize yung cause and effect. Next stage natin is what we call the pre-operational stage. Ito yung from 2 years old to 7 years old. The next is the concrete operational stage from ages 7 to 11, and the formal operational stage. So ito yung sinasabi kanina ni Ms. Citadel na mixed. Actually, ang cognitive theory, pinagkasundo niya yung dalawang theory na medyo in contrast sa kanilang statement. So let's move on. According to cognitive theory, it focuses on exploring the links between the stages of cognitive development and language skills. The links have been clearly shown for the earliest period of language learning, up to 18 months. So relating to the development of that Piaget called sensory motor intelligence, which I discussed earlier, in which children construct a mental picture of a world of objects that have independent existence. So ito yung parang pinagkasundo niya yung dalawang theory. So ito na yung kasagutan doon sa kaninang hindi natin sa mga tawag dito, sa mga tawag doon, Sir Nel? Sa mga criticism ng dalawang theory. So let's move on to, but don't get me wrong, ang ating cognitive theory is also criticized for this following criticism. So it is highly difficult to show precise correlations between specific cognitive behaviors and linguistic features at the very early stage of language acquisition, as the children become linguistically and cognitively more advanced in the course of time. So ito lang naman yung pinaka major criticism niya. Pero apart from that, no more na. So as you can see, mga classmates, ito yung isa sa mga objective namin kanina. Hopefully we were able to deliver to your satisfaction. Yung magkaroon tayo ng compare and contrast comparison nung tatlong theories related to psycholinguistics, and we could identify their similarities and also their differences, and we could formulate our own stance about this. Alright? So, ayan po ang end of part 1 natin. Mga kaibigan, ready na po ba kayo sa ating next part of our report?
Ready?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Ready, sir. Ready.
Ready na. Ayan po. Mga classmates, last night or earlier this morning, I have sent your leaders a copy of our presentation for your reference for our sa activity natin. Alright? So magagamit niyo po yan para po sa susunod natin activity. I am going to stop sharing first. Ayan. So ready na po? Ang ating pong next activity is called the War of Tribes. So please, Group 1, Group 2, Group 3, Group 4, be ready. You can help each other. So, ang winner po natin is a team for today. And pwede niyo pong tulungan ang isa't isa sa paggawa po ng game, sa pagsagot po ng mga ating mga katanungan. But,
Group 2, usap tayo sa group chat. Group 2.
Okay, so ready na po ba? Okay, please give me...
Ready na ba?
Group 2, wag tayong papatalo. Group 2.
Ano yan ni Ma'am Ems?
Okay, Ma'am Glay.
Group 2.
Searching pa. Sir Reymark, may PM po ako.
Sige po. Sige.
Nako, eto na to. Alright.
Tulungan na lang. War of Tribes.
Hindi kami kasali.
Hindi na tayo kasali
Sorry ka
Hindi
na.
tayo kasali, classmates, groupmates, okay?
Gusto daw namin po sumali sa Joemar.
Ay, dayaan na yan kapag group 5 kasama.
Oh my gosh. Alright, so let's do this. Alright. Oh, sorry. How many teams? We have 4 teams, right?
Yeah.
Okay, sige, usap na kayo ng strategy nyo. Dapat isang tanong para sa isang member lang. Hindi na siya pwedeng umulit. So, please decide who's going to take question number 1, question number 2, question number 3 when it's your turn. Okay po? Understood po tayo?
Sir, paulit na. Nawala kasi ako.
Okay po. So, ang ating pong mechanics, tandaan po natin, group, ano po siya, effort. Pero sa isa pong group, pipili lang po kayo ng inyong champion, champion ng inyong tribe. Ngayon, kapag nakasagot na si champion number 1, hindi na po siya pwedeng umulit para sumagot sa susunod na tanong. So, ito po ay game of chances. May random scores po and points that you can earn. Ang paunahan lang po na maka-reach ng 5th question, at kung na-reach na po ng lahat ng group ang 5th question, the highest score gainer shall be declared the winner. Okay? So, ulitin ko po, hindi po pwedeng umulit ng isang tao na sumagot po ulit ng next question. So, please, strategize. Groups. Yan. Hold on po. Pwede na po ba, Ma'am Miss Miniela? Got it na po? Alright?
Sakto lang, sir.
Alright, so sa group 1 muna ang unang sasagot. I'm going to share you my screen so that you know what exactly I'm talking about. Alright, so can you see the colorful boxes on your screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so group number 1,
Yes, po.
where are you? Okay, group number 1, who is your champion? Group number 1, who's going to be your champion number 1? Hello po.
Mine.
Tingnan mo ako na, parang wala sila. Wala kasi
Alright.
sir. Babago
Okay.
na.
Alright, that could be an exemption to the rule. If you are not complete, you can repeat answering. If you are only one here inside the Zoom call, then naturally you can answer more than one. Okay. Miss Miniela, please choose a box.
13.
Ano po yun ulit?
13
po ba?
po.
13. Okay, Miss Miniela, and to all the group leaders, ang questions po is about all the presentation that we did. Right? Sa part 1. And also, meron pong random questions dito na bonus box. All you need to do is just to be real and answer it. Okay, katuwaan lang po to, wala po sanang ma-offend. Okay?
Wala,
Alright,
sir.
number 13. Buksan po natin yan. Okay. For 10 points, your question is, he is best known for his research on Broca's area. This is your report. A region of the frontal lobe.
Paul Broca. Wow.
May choices. Wow, pero alam niya, Paul Broca. Sure na po ba yan?
Sure na.
Sure na. Alright. Very good. Group number 1 earns 10 points. Alright. Group number 2.
Ma'am
who's
Kaysel,
your
ikaw na
champion?
po. Ako ba ulit, sir?
Hindi po, group number 2 na po.
Oh, sige sir. Go.
Gusto na. Okay po.
Reymark, please choose a box.
My favorite number, 25.
Ah. Wala po tayo 25. 24 po. Sorry po.
Favorite number,
Minus
17 sir.
10.
17.
Sir, minus 10.
What is that?
Team, help mo
Alright.
ako ah.
Your question for 25 points.
Oh my
He
God.
introduced the term psycholinguistics in his 1936 book. Who is he? Let me read first the choices. Noam Chomsky, Jacob Robert Cantor, Aristeo Villaflor, Joemar Ritual.
Noam Chomsky.
Noam Chomsky. Are you sure?
Team, sure ba?
Sure? Okay,
Sir, wait
Noam
lang, mahina po.
Chomsky.
Tama po. Sure na sir.
Last answer. Sure? Okay, that is incorrect because the correct answer is Jacob.
Oh my gosh.
Ayan, so you don't earn a point. So let's try. You want to try one more?
Sayang.
Sorry team.
Hindi, sige, okay lang. One more pa.
One more.
Just one box.
Number 1.
Okay, number 1. Okay lang.
Okay.
Bagay na bagay.
Explain love. Universal language.
Love is a universal language. I believe that love is the common denominator for all the humanity. Kasi kahit sa pag-ibig, you will never go wrong. Hindi ang pag-ibig kasi ang pag-ibig ay is a communication also. Kaya siguro sa English or sa English or any languages around the world, ang daming nagbo-brought siya ng miscommunication, ng misunderstanding. Pero yung sa pag-ibig, kapag puno ng pag-ibig ang ating puso, ay hindi tayo magkakamali at yan ang magiging lingwahe ng lahat ng isang katauhan. Kaya nga sabi, di ba, the main purpose why God created our hearts in the middle of our body, use our hearts. Kasi minsan, yung utak natin, punong-puno ng mga problema, punong-puno ng mga pasakit. Kung hindi kaya ng utak, gamitin natin ang puso. You will never go wrong.
Yay! 10 points, 10 points, 10 points.
20 na yan.
Dr. Lo.
And for that, ayan, you get an extra point. All right, you get 25 points for that, sir. Very good. All right, team 3, are you ready?
Yes.
Galing, galing.
Team 3.
Yes, sir, we're ready.
Okay, Miss Shine, kindly choose a box.
Number 9.
Number 9. Okay, bonus box. You get extra points for your team. Sorry, bakit nandito ako?
Oh
Sorry
my
po,
God.
Shine!
Do I really need to answer it?
Both.
Can I answer it?
You can
Okay.
just answer what to answer.
Still.
Still,
Okay.
Can I steal the question?
Okay.
Yes.
Sex or
Wow.
chocolate?
Kayo po bahala if you want to answer or you want to skip.
Okay,
will
I will
get it.
answer it, of course.
Okay. Sorry po. Random lang.
Okay. Sex while eating chocolate?
Oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. No. Okay, ma'am. Okay na po yan. Okay na po yan. Alright. Thank you.
OMG!
Sorry, Miss Shine. Alright. Team 4, please choose a box.
Miss M.
Okay, Miss Ems.
Ay, ma'am, ako talaga.
Yes po.
Sige po.
Pangalaman.
Sige, ma'am, 22.
22. Okay. Children start out as a clean slate, and language learning is a process of getting linguistic habits printed on these slates. Language acquisition is a process of experience. Language is a conditioned behavior. Choices are cognitive theory, nativist theory, behaviorist theory, or Big Bang theory? Miss Ems?
Wait po. Ano po? Ano po ay sino to?
Okay po, take your time.
Yan yung kay ano kanina, no? Clean slates. Wait po.
Big Bang theory.
Wait po. Ano po sir? Nativist theory.
Nativist theory. And that is incorrect. Because the correct answer is behaviorist theory. Ayan. So, sorry ma'am, you don't get a score. Okay, isa pa po. Bibigyan ko kayo ng bonus para lahat may score. Miss Ems, please choose a box.
Hi, sir.
5.
5.
5? Alright. Alright. A branch of both linguistics is physiology. Psycholinguistics is part of the field of cognitive science. True or false?
Wait, sir. A branch of both linguistics and sociology. Psycholinguistics are part of the field of communication. Naman, sir, ang hirap naman. Kanina nakinigan ako na kay Ma'am Analyn, psycholinguistic yun eh.
False.
Wait. Wait lang, sir. Ayan, ayan. Wait. Ano po, sir? True.
True. Okay, let's check. Oh my.
Sorry po. Ano ba yan?
Because the correct answer is false. Okay? Sorry ma'am.
Sorry.
I'm very sorry for that.
Po.
Get negative 20. Alright. Team 1, your turn next. Please choose a box. Miss Mine, if you don't have any
Yes, sir.
Okay. Opo. Choose po tayo. Choose a box po.
Sir, number 16.
16. Alright. Okay, sorry. This is the human brain is naturally ready for language in the sense when children are exposed to speech, certain general principles or discovering or structuring language automatically begin to operate. So what is this theory? Behaviorist theory, cognitive theory, nativist theory, or love theory?
Sir, di ko po kita yung screen.
Love theory.
Okay.
Sir,
Who can help?
Di ko kita yung...
Miss Miniela, please help.
Sir, ang nasa screen ko pa lang po ay...
Okay po. This is Ma'am Kaizel, ano po? Who's this po?
Kaizel Borja.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Malabo po?
Ma'am Isabor.
Opo.
Ay, sir.
Hindi, sir. Ang nasa screen ko po, ibang question po. Late lang po siguro.
Okay. Alright. Sige, si Ma'am ano po muna?
Ma'am, nisend ko po sa GC. Sinend ko po sa GC yung tanong.
Yung talong? Aba, may
Yung tanong.
May tanong. Alright. Nakikita na po ba ni Ma'am Kaizel? Alright. Kaizel. After po nito, magkakaroon po tayo na 5-minute break. Then you can do your simple businesses. Ma'am Kaizel. Anyone from group 1 can answer?
Ako na lang, sir.
Ay, sorry.
Nativist theory po.
Nativist? Okay, let's go check. Yay! Thank you, group 1. Group 2.
Sorry, sir. Namamala ako eh.
Okay lang, uy. Group 2.
Team, kayo naman, team.
Kayo naman, team.
Sir Dinapol, Joseph.
Sir Joseph, please choose a box.
Number 10.
Yes.
Number?
10.
Number 10. Take note, lahat po ng sagot na ito dito sa mga tanong ay nasa presentation pong advance sa sinend ko po sa inyo. Ano po?
Yes!
Bonus box.
Talaga ni sir.
The group gets extra points. Give your opinion. Love or career?
Love my career.
Love my career. Final answer, sir?
Yes, final.
All right. Thank you for your answer. You get 10.
Yes!
Three. Group 3.
Di po.
Go, Ma'am Mitch.
Go, Miss Mitch.
Number 8 po.
Number 8. Alright. Works on psycholinguistics starts as far as Plato. True or false?
True. True po, true.
Group 4. Thank you, Miss Mitch. Group 4. It's your time to shine.
Yay!
Okay, I will try, sir.
Okay, Miss Diary.
No, don't expect. I'm hungry.
Galit yan pag gutom.
Correct po. Nangaaway na ako.
Alright, please choose.
Okay, may lucky number 4.
Oh, lucky number 4. Alright. The question is, he developed a comprehensive theory of the cognitive processes involved in the act of speaking, including the significance of the mental lexicon. Who is he? This was reported by Miss Glenda earlier this morning. The choices are Paul Broca, Lino Broca, William Level, and Charles Hackett.
Okay, wait a minute.
It's okay po. Take your time. Kaya pa naman to hanggang bukas.
I'm confused between William and Charles.
Good. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng si Paul Broca sa si Lino Broca yan. Guys, you can talk inside your group so that you can decide better.
Sir, I'm sorry, I will disappoint you, but my answer is Charles Hackett.
Charles Hackett? Okay,
Yeah.
let's go. Final answer?
Yeah. Yes.
Sorry, the correct answer is Lino Broca. Joke lang. Hindi pa rin. So si Paul Broca hindi pa rin. Dahil ang correct answer is si William Levelt.
Oh, sorry, team.
It's okay, it's okay. There's always a second time. Alright, so group number 1, please choose your champion or Miss Miniela. Choose your hero. Angela. Group number 1, Miss Mini, ikaw po ulit. Are they still here? Hello? Anyone from group number 1?
Yes, sir.
Opo, Ma'am Citadel.
Yes, sir.
Opo, can you choose po a box?
Number 22, sir.
Number 22. Alright.
Yes.
This is your... Ay, nasagot na pala ito. Kanina. Sorry. Choose another box po, ma'am.
Okay, sir. Number 18.
Number 18. Alright. Oh, bonus box na naman.
Madali.
You gain points. How do you correct a child in speaking correctly?
Child, sir? O ito, child pala
Child
siya.
or learner? Learner po. Language learner.
Okay, sir. Since sa high school ako, di learner student.
Yes,
Okay, sir. How am I gonna correct him or her in speaking correctly? So, I will give sir him or her the right way of, let's say, for pronouncing the word. Actually, it is addressed to everyone inside the classroom so that hindi naman, kumbaga, address lang sa kanya. Because maybe some of them inside the room have also difficulties in speaking like him. So, address na lang to everyone. Okay, ganun sir, para hindi naman sila mismo yung nako-correct.
Yes, para di siya ma-spotlight. Very good point, ma'am. Thank you as always. Very helpful. Thank you so much. So for that, you gain additional score. All right, team 2. Please choose a box.
Si Ma'am Joji.
Go, sir. Go po.
Hi, Miss Joji. Please choose a number.
Hello po.
Yan po, number 2.
Number 2. There. Bonus box na naman.
Yes.
Okay. Ang galing ng number 2 ah. Alright. Team number 2, Miss Jochan. You get extra points for your team. Answer the question. Who would you choose to save during a fire? Your number 1 or your number 2? Why?
Sino yung number 1 at number 2?
Let's say si number 1 boyfriend saka si number 1 2 boyfriend.
Eh, sir, wala pa ako nun.
Matutulpo ka niya. Any idea, ma'am? Just, let's say,
Sige po, basta magkakaroon lang ako ng 10 points. Si number 2.
Si number 2, why? Si number 2.
Wala ko ma-share.
Kasi, bakit ka kasi,
Sige, sir.
Go, ma'am.
kasi kung mahal mo si number 1, bakit maghahanap ka pa ng number 2? So, mas mahal mo si number 2, go for number 2.
Wow! Wow! Hello, Sir Rafi Tulpo. Thank you so much for that. Number 2. We will record this answer. Good luck. For future references. Group number 3. Ikaw na po.
Go, Ma'am Jelly Ann.
Ma'am Jelly Ann. Alright, Miss Jelly Ann. Ikaw na. Narito pa po ba si Miss Jelly Ann?
Mahina
Ay,
daw po
opo,
ang
sir.
net. Ayan.
Mahina po ang net. May bagyo po eh. Nangangin-angin.
Opo. Ma'am, sige po.
Go, Ma'am Jelly.
Ano po ang available na number? Di ko po makita yung screen.
3, 6, 7, 11, 12.
14. 15.
14.
17.
po, number
Ano pong choice nila, ma'am?
14 daw po.
Number 3 po.
Ano ba talaga? Number 3 ka. Number 3. Bonus box na naman.
Number 3.
Ano ba yan? Okay.
Go, Ma'am Jelly Ann.
You get extra points for your team, Ma'am Jelly Ann. Sing a few
Oh my
lines.
God! Why do I have to sing?
yeah.
Oh my God!
Go, Ma'am Jelly.
Okay,
Go.
Ma'am Jelly.
Go, Jelly.
Oh my God!
Para sa points, go.
Bahay kubo.
Saglit lang po, parang wala akong, pwede bahay kubo?
Ano talaga yung favorite song mo talaga
Favorite
siya?
po niya.
Buti lang hindi happy birthday.
Naka-Pilipino po yan.
Go, ma'am.
Saglit lang po, nag-iisip pa ako.
Wow. Pinaghahandaan. Side A, side B, ma'am. Baka meron kayong tape dyan. Gusto niyo po ba ng background?
Go, Ma'am Jelly, go.
Go, Jelly, go.
Nakaduet, ma'am.
O, do it daw kayo, Miss Mitch. Paano ba yan?
Baka magkaiba kami favorite.
Magulong duet yan.
Go!
Isang linggong pag-ibig daw. Isang linggong pag-ibig.
Gusto mo ma'am ng -1?
Magkakilala.
Wait lang po, nagre-research ko.
Diba, Miss
Search pa ng lyrics.
Nag-search pa ng lyrics talaga.
Effort, sir, +5.
Correct.
Wait lang po, nawala yung signal.
Hercules.
Bakit si Sir Reymark ang kumakanta?
Kanang.
For the Reymark,
Kakarelate kasi siya.
Webe. Ay iniibig.
Uy, help
Okay na po, game na po.
Okay, go! Everyone, please welcome our next contender, Miss
Tawag ng tanggalan.
at ang dating kampiyon.
Tawag ng tanghalian.
Tawag ng tanggalan sa show.
Konti lang po ha.
Okay, go, ma'am.
Okay na po.
Ay, ang ganda. Wow. Galing.
Okay na po. And
Speechless.
true colors shine true.
Yes.
True colors.
Wow. Ang lamig. Wow, ang lamig kaya umuulan.
Don't be
Mga bagyo dito, Ma'am Jelly.
let them show your true colors.
Tama na. Dapat dito.
Tama na po, please.
Grabe kayo.
Sir Reymark ha?
Go pa, Ma'am Jelly! Go! Go!
Hindi ka talaga
Go, Ma'am Jelly.
More, Ma'am! More!
Wow, you're a
Kaya
great
ko na po.
singer.
Binubuli niya ako.
Grabe, napakabuli ng klase
Ma'am,
ito.
ang ganda ng Ma'am, ang ganda ng boses nyo. Pwedeng i-play.
Grabe.
Kari ka sa nadyawan niya.
Gawa po kasi sa hangin. Mahangin dito. Grabe kayo.
May bagyo! Ingat dyan.
Oo.
Jelly
Nasa
and the
tabing dagat
Dito pa ako sa
Jelly.
Ansada.
Tama-tama yung kanta niya, no, bumabagyo talaga.
Laki ko sa bayan.
You're such a bully.
Sorry.
I hate you.
Grabe,
Hindi
over.
Support kita, ma'am. Bumabagyo din dito.
Alright, group number 4, please choose a box. Oh my God. Recorded to Ma'am Jelly. Miss Emily, number?
Sir, yung iba naman, nandiyan po ata si Ma'am Christine, si Ma'am Melissa, si Ma'am Sarah.
Alright, si Ma'am Christine or si Ma'am Melissa. Hello, Ma'am. I think they're not here.
Oh, wala. Ma'am Glay, pili na. Dalawa ata tayo. Parang pa tayo mali.
The
Ma'am MC
usual.
muna.
Ma'am, MC ka muna.
O, sige po, 7.
Okay, 7. Alright. According to cognitive theory, before children can use linguistic structures, they need first to have developed the conceptual ability to make relative judgments, true or false. Cognitive theory po tayo. Yung last kong theory diniscuss ko po.
Conceptual ability to make relative judgment. Wait, Sarah.
Ano po, sir?
Yes,
Before
po.
True, sir?
True. Yay!
Hindi na kami. Ay, naku, negative pa rin. Negative 20. Ayan.
Alright, group number 1, please choose a box. Miss Miniela, are you still here?
Ako na ba, sir? Yan kasi si Ma'am Giovanni.
24.
Okay, Miss Kazel, number? Nandun ka ba
Ma'am
sa-
Kaisel, ikaw na ba?
Ma'am Giovanni. Yan. Ma'am
Sige,
Kazel.
ma'am. Go. Number 24.
Number 24. Alright. Number 24 question. The emergence of psycholinguistics as an academic discipline is generally linked to an influential seminar at Blank University in 1951. Ito po yung sa introduction ni Miss Analyn earlier this morning. These are the choices. Cornell University, Kamsawi University, Michigan University. Nakita po ni Ma'am Hazel yung screen?
Cornell. Hindi ko po kita, sir. Cornell po ba, sir, ang sagot?
How do you spell it po? We have two Cornell University. Cornell or Carnell?
C-O-R.
Oh, okay po. C-O.
Cornell. C-O-R-N-E-L-L po.
Okay, let's go check.
Hindi ko kasi
Very
sure kita yung
good.
screen.
Yay! Very good. All right, that's group number 2. Group number 1. Group number 2, it's your turn.
Sir Aristeo, Villaflor.
Baka
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Sir Aristeo.
I choose number 22, sir.
Yes. Ay, kaso
22 is already taken. Opo.
Taken na siya, taken.
Ay, okay na.
Taken
Ayun,
na siya.
sir. Nagkamali ako doon.
Sorry.
Choose
Number
another
6 po.
Number
Yes.
6.
Good.
Okay.
Good question.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God.
Anak, you lose point. Sorry.
Oh my God!
Sorry.
Ayan.
Sabi talaga ni Sir, ano ba yan?
Nice
May
one.
action ka agad.
Nagalit si Dr. Love.
Nagalit.
Magalit si Dr.
Number 3, group number 3, it's your turn. Thank you, Sir
Yes, sir.
Aristeo.
Ma'am Shine.
Ma'am Shine.
Number 15.
Number 15. All right. Here's your question, Miss Shine. The way words are stored in our minds and used, this is blank aspects of psycholinguistics. This is a report of Sir Joemar. All right. These are the choices. Second language acquisition, language processing, language acquisition, or lexical storage and retrieval. You can go check your copies po to check on the answer. The keywords here is stored and
Stored
used.
in our minds and used. Okay, my answer is lexical storage and retrieval.
Okay, this is for 20 points. Very good.
Yay!
Ooh, currently we have Team 3 leading by 5 points from Team 1. Kaya lang si Team number 2 nabawasan ng 10 points kanina. Sorry, Sir Sir Reymark. Alright, Team number 4. Please choose a box. Miss Glide.
Sir, baka maging negative 50 naman ito.
Lumaglay.
Ito ang pinaka-pangit na negative. At least hindi ka negative sa di ba?
Ay, yes po.
Okay,
Sige.
negative
Sige
sa
na nga.
buhay.
Okay po. Sige, I choose
14.
No, I hate it. What's the date today? 18? Oh, it's taken. Okay. 11 na lang. 11?
11. Main argument. Language acquisition must be viewed within the context of a child's intellectual development. Ito yung sagot mo kanina. The choices are cognitive theory, behaviorist theory, innateness theory, or nativist theory. Keywords within the context of child intellectual development.
Okay. My answer is cognitive because cognition. It has something to do with the brain.
This is how much? 15 points. Okay. Very good. Nice. Yay!
Thank you!
Negative.
Negative pa rin.
Negative pa rin. Ayan, negative 5 na lang. Okay.
Thank you po.
Team number 1. Team number 1.
Ma'am Citadel, ikaw na po.
Ma'am Citadel.
Ay, yes po.
Naririnig ko yung hiccup ni Sir Reymark.
Ay, sorry po.
Pasensya na po. Last ano po? Last chance.
Number?
Number?
Number 20, sir.
Number 20.
20.
Bonus box na naman. Okay. Extra points for your group. Answer the question. Let's say, Ma'am Citadel, napaka-jeje mo nung question. Let's say you won the lottery. Who will you take with your...
Yes.
Take with you? Family or your husband or your boyfriend? Choose one, only one option.
Only one. Okay, I will choose, of course, my husband, sir.
Okay po.
Because,
Why?
Talaga
may why?
Once you're already married, sir, it is your own family you would prioritize. You're already committed to him or to her at all times. So I will prioritize my husband. And then, the next one is my family.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
But anyway, nanalo
Kilig
naman kayo sa
much.
lottery eh. So pwede naman kayo
Sana all. Sana all priority.
Lahat of three naman, sir, maraming pera. So,
Tama,
definitely
kasi
my family.
yung sa husband niya, makapag-create siya ng family.
Sir Reymark talaga. Oh.
May honeymoon.
May mga bata dito, Sir Reymark.
Kaya group number 2.
Sir Sherwin po.
Sir Sherwin. Oh, team 1 is 70. Sir Sherwin.
Wala ata si
Sir Sherwin. Wala na rin po siya. Hindi na po siya na...
sige po. Number 14.
40? 14.
14. Ay, ano ba yan?
Boom!
Mag-iit na.
Kaya ayaw ko, Sir Reymark, ng 14, di ba?
Oo nga.
And you?
Kanina yung sinasabi mo kay Paglan. Hindi ko nabawasan pa siya. Negative 50 talaga siya. Oh my gosh. Alright, thank you so much. Team 2.
Nice one.
Number 3. Team number 3.
Go, Ma'am Mitch.
Go, Ma'am Mitch.
Go, Ma'am Mitch.
Number 19.
19. Alright. Psycholinguistics is concerned with the relationship between human mind and language in spoken discourse only. True or false?
What? Spoken only?
Alam ko na mga group 4. Nagigil sila talaga sa sumali. Kawawa naman. Kaya mo guys, later maglalaro po tayo. False, your answer is... Oh, correct. Okay. Next.
Yay!
Alright, number 4. Time to redeem your team.
Ems.
Wow.
Go.
Daldo na tayo. 12, sir. Ayan sana si Ma'am Christine, oh. Ayan sana.
Ma'am Christine.
Di daw po makakonect, sir.
Okay, si Ma'am Ems na lang.
Naku, mad. Sige, sir. 12, sir.
12. The term psycholinguistics was popularized by one of the Cantor students who is Who is he? William Level, Nhelliel Suson, Nicholas Henry Pronko, or Saint Nicholas?
Psycholinguistics. Wait lang, sir.
Ito ang report ni Ma'am Glenda.
Ma'am Glenda.
Miss Glay, pwede kang mag-help. This is plus 20.
Psycholinguistics.
I only know the name of my boyfriend. I don't know that.
I only know...
Siguro sir si Nicholas Henry.
Nhelliel
Kasi ito
Suson.
yung si Sir Nhelliel Suson. Sino ba? Siya yung nag-report kanina. Wait lang William Level po kasi ay language acquisition and speech production.
Ay, sorry. Itong Nicholas and Ms. Kay Ma'am Analyn pala to sa introduction.
ID si sir? William Level. Psycholinguistic po sir? History of Psycholinguistics. William Level.
Sure, ma'am?
I'm glad.
Opo, ay...
William Level. Hindi sir, yun
Okay, William Level?
Opo.
Okay, let's check. Okay.
Sorry.
Hindi si Nhelliel Suson, hindi si Nicholas dahil si... Okay, so that concludes our game for today, and our winner is Team 1! Everybody, give your hand to the Team number 1. Alright. Team number 1, ang second runner-up natin is Team number 2. So, yung second runner-up namin, si Team number 2, si Team number 1, may pa-free sticker tayo kay Line. Tapos kay naman, so sa second runner-up, you can choose whatever you want po. Lahat po ng members will get to, lahat po na nag-participate na members will get prizes. Okay po? Group number 1 and group number 3.
Yay! Yay! Thank you, sir.
Group number 1, washing machine. Yung sa group number 3, labahan.
Yes, sir. Sige, sir.
So,
It's okay.
Labahan.
Ganun po yung
Dryer.
Detergent na lang po.
Detergent. Sige, pwede naman po. Alright, so maraming salamat po. Time check is 11:20. So would you like us to... Hi, group mates. Please open your camera and let's greet our classmates. Let's thank them.
Hello.
Maraming salamat po. Actually, meron pa po tayong isa pa po, social linguistics reported by the second batch of reporters. However, would you like us to continue or would you like us to have an early lunch? Then we go back at 1.
Early lunch, sir.
Early lunch saka early Mobile Legends. Miss Minute. Buhatin mo naman ako dahil ako'y babang-baba na. Alright. Early lunch po tayo, Miss Irish.
Yes po, sir. Hindi pa ako nag-almusal. Yung magre-report mamaya, di ba?
Opo. Yung niyo po, report niyo po. Okay, mga sir, maraming salamat po sa pagdalo at pagkikinig po ng aming report. Thank you so much. You may leave po the room and see you later at 1 p.m. po tayo. Bye.
Salamat din po.
Thank you, group po.
Bye.
Thank you.
Congrats po, Group 5.
Salamat po.